Okay, hello there everyone and welcome back to another Hero Story PB analysis. Today I'm doing one for Tommyeasy, who's wanted one for quite a while, and so this is a little overdue. You can see he's got a PB here of 3615. This is actually quite an old PB, so some stuff will be a little outdated. One thing I'm expecting this to go on to is that Eternal Engine is going to use the regular first cycle old skip, and I won't be really commenting on how to go through the stage because now everyone just wants to, use the new skip. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see what I can refer to. So let's just get started. Excellent file making strat. I like it. With the several files already present, that's important for getting a good time. All right, let's.
I can't wait to actually get C-skip on Dion Bigfoot.
Yes, Tommy, I agree.
Or get suspended ceiling on Valkyrian.
So yeah, this is a standard until it's not standard. Just watch your turns. I'm sure you know that, but yeah, just watch your turns if you can. So I've already mentioned previously about the possibility of getting a slightly quicker start here by just jumping just before you hit these speed pads. And if you're stickless when you jump over these speed pads, until the camera change happens here and then you are holding down right, you should just be able to clear this fence here and be, landing somewhere around here, if not on the rail, if your positioning is perfect, which is, significantly faster than landing manually here and needing to homing attack. Just something to possibly look into applying if you want to take your city escape to the next level. I didn't ask to non-full screen it. So there's the right idea here. The only thing that really went wrong here is that once you spin dashed up the staircase, I think you were just late on the left turn. So yeah, so like at this point you should have already turned to the left. That's the only thing that really went wrong here. Otherwise this was all correct, I would say. Wait, I really fucking hate how it keeps unfull screening. I'm not entirely sure why you waited so long here before performing this homing attack. Like, there was like probably at least a second faster you could have done that homing attack, but yeah, just a small thing I'm noting there. Okay, I can just use space to resume playback and to pause. Okay, that's helpful. So CE skip, yeah. Alright, so this is just a CE skip, and so this looks like this is the non bad cam method. I'm just going to go back and look at exactly what happened before the skip. Yeah, I'm watching your input cam here. Yeah, this is no directional input, so I'm sure you know that, like, if you want a quote-unquote more consistent CE skip, you can hold up on the control stick there for more speed, but then you'll get the bad camera out here. I'm assuming this is just preference of which you're using, although one of the reasons that I don't really like using this older method is because of the rail collision that can happen there. That seems a lot more common if you don't use the bad cam strats. That was like, I saw that when I was taking a quick look. That's like really risky there. I don't know if you did that on purpose or if it just worked out like that, but jumping straight from this rail here onto the next rail, I personally wouldn't try to use that as a regular strat, but I mean, it worked, so thankfully it didn't get you killed. I personally just like to run up the staircase manually, though. It's my preference for the safety, because it's barely slower to not take the rail. Like, that's so risky. Let's see this truck section. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, just watch your like timings here. Okay, so clearly you jerked very aggressively to the right here. I'm going to look at the input cam again here. It was like downright, and it was just like too much. So I would just look at using a very, very slight amount of side inputting there. Like that was pretty much directly down right that you were holding. If you instead like try and hold like down right there, or just use, if you're already holding down and then you just try and gradually turn the control stick a little bit, you'll have much easier control there, in my opinion. But that is my onion. Alright. So, the start of this, that looked like the first hit was late. I'm going to take another look at that. Yeah, it's possible that this hit landed a bit late, and if there's anything that caused that, it will have been not having any forward momentum when you jumped off the box. It looked like you just jumped off the box straight up and then started moving forward. Like, so, yeah, if that hit was late, then that seems like it's the reason for it. And yeah, you're already, like, on these hits here, I'm just going to slow this down. You've got visible iframe time, time loss between the hits. So you've got hit one here, which just lands whenever. But his iframes visibly run out here before you land hit two. And once that starts happening, the fight just gets progressively worse and worse because the recoil gets stronger and stronger. Like, you can see there that it was visible. Time where the iframes weren't active, so it's going to be even longer on this hit, and then it's going to be even longer again on the next hit. Yeah. So now he just flies backwards very far out of bounds, and this is probably going to be like a 22.5 by the looks of it, or maybe not that bad, but it's going to be a 22. Like, there's quite a lot of time there that can be saved either way, just from looking at the efficiency of your hits, trying to get them really close together. Yeah, 22.29, so that was like 22.3, like I said, it's like a low to mid 22, which is mostly just caused by, like I say, not getting a very quick first hit, and then having the iframe duration run out in between hits. That's directly what causes that. Alright, so Knuckles. Tommy sucks at Knuckles, so let's see this.
I didn't get this first piece a single time during the entire night.
I've got a lot to say about Knuckles here. Like, oh, look at that garbage, it took so long to get the hint monitor. Look at this guy, he's so bad, he's just losing time on the movement everywhere. And, not even punching to accelerate now, yeah, Tommy is like, probably pound for pound the best Knuckles player we have in the community, and I'm gonna have very little to say about the Knuckles stages throughout this run. So it's going to make this analysis like a little shorter, that throughout the Knuckles stages I'm going to have very little to say. With all the others that I've done, there's a lot of like, oh, you should be checking this and using different routes here. Tommy already knows like all of this, so there's little I can say in that regard. Eggman is like barely anything. Okay, I do like this method, but if there's a problem that happens in this boss fight, it's when he fires like his own shot. So when he fires his own homing shot here, I don't know why this happens, but it's a weird quirk of the fight that as long as this homing shot is inside his hitbox, you actually won't damage him with your own shots, and I think we actually see that here because you ended up using the punch to hit him here when there's a lot of shots that are just visibly going through. Let's have another look at this. Yeah, so like you shot him there, but just nothing happened. Where his iframes had visibly stopped by then, so I'm gonna like slow this down so we can see again. And go back. Yeah, like, his iframes had visibly ended there, but the shot still just doesn't hit him because his own homing shot's inside his hitbox. The punch still hits him, and this is fine because this fight actually works differently for some reason. That, like, in Eggman 2, punching him is the worst thing you can do because it does very little damage. It still does full damage in this fight, but the only thing that you want to be aware of is not to have gone too far to the right here. Like, if you're somewhere, like, here, and you hit him in this direction, if you hit him into one of these rings, it actually does restore his health a little, and that's what causes the fight to require another hit to complete. Like, it took me a while to figure that out, but that is actually what's happening there when the fight takes 5 hits. It's because you hit him into a ring, and it restores his health. But being at this sort of angle and punching him, this is fine, as long as you can follow up with a quick 4th hit. Like that sort of thing. That's still fine. Just something to be very mindful of, that if you're going to end up getting a punch hit, try... Wow, that background destruction. Just try very hard to not hit him into a ring, otherwise the fight will take longer. So, I'm not too sure about the the very full jump that's used at the start here, and I'm hoping that this isn't a general habit, because using full jumps with tails when you don't need to is just like losing frames and tenths at every opportunity. So like this jump here, this could have been like a much shorter hop with just a control stick wiggle, and you probably still get the 3 lock-ons just as easily. This corner will tell me how you generally jump with tails and how your general cornering looks. Yeah, so this jump is fairly high, and you can get away with using much shorter jumps in general. I'm going to... Hello, SA2? There we go. Alright. So as an example, just as a comparison example, let's just get Prison Lane. I never know where Prison Lane is because I've never practiced the fucking stage. I mean, I personally don't even jump here, I just hopefully get those very quickly. But for this corner, you can jump very little and still get around it quickly. So... this is something that maybe is going to be a long-term thing to address. We'll just see how it goes as the stage goes on and as the run continues. Yeah, that's not too bad though. Okay, risky strat. First, like a risky strat of the run, so this was nicely executed. Let's just take a look at this again. So, yeah, jumping on this side barrier, it is indeed faster than waiting for the elevator, but because of how thin this is and how the hitboxes can be a little weird, this is considered a risky strat to take. But if you can like consistently get it, then yeah, more power to you. This is a bit faster, so yeah. This is similar to what I said in SMB's PB, that on this specific part here, when these doors open, ideally you want to just get around it in one jump if you can. Like, jumping multiple times when you don't need to is just going to lead to little bits of time loss. So again, if I pull up SA2, a counterpoint example would be like trying to do something like this. I'm probably going to mess this up, we'll see. And I'm not taking this strat here. Yeah, I messed that up. But either way, like, if you can approach this with like some speed after destroying these enemies and then just like jump around in one like that, then you're going to find that you're going considerably faster down this hallway, like, immediately. So, yeah, this hallway is a little weird with getting both of these enemies here. Because obviously you're going to need both these enemies to be destroyed by the time before you can progress. This enemy, like, you can get from fairly far away. You can target this enemy a lot earlier than you did, but then the problem is like getting both of them without really slowing down like that. But you can see that you can get those potentially faster and not need to slow down quite as much like you did here. So maybe that's, if you want a specific thing to practice, that would be quite helpful. Okay, that's nice. That's not an easy box break to get. 25 checks still though, so that's actually not too bad. Like, not bad at all. So, the only thing I disagree with here is getting all 3 of these lock-ons at the same time. Like, getting the ×3 lock-on here, this to me seems like the reason that you needed to slow down here. Whereas if they'd all been 1 by 1, you probably wouldn't need to slow down. So again, I'll get SA2 and see if we can compare this. Got a bit of gameplay before we reach that point. A bit of epic gameplay. I messed up. Alright, so I was going very fast and I did like hit the door there, but generally speaking, if you can target those enemies 1 by 1, you're probably going to have a generally better time around that section. Because like, there's just quite a bit of waiting time there, and you still did collide with the door. So, yeah, I would just try and pay attention to getting singular lock-ons there. And as a general habit as well, singular lock-ons is going to be better than getting group lock-ons. So, very, very, very slight optimization here. This is, again, something I mentioned in the previous analysis, that obviously this elevator starts moving once you actually stand on it. So if we look again at when this elevator is going to start moving, then you can potentially be on it as early as this, but your jump here was high enough so that you clear it and you only now land on the elevator, so it starts moving now. So if you want to, like, again, like, try and squeeze every little bit that you can out of prison lane, then just trying to land on this as soon as possible is, like, the next thing to look at. Like, hopefully something like this. Just, it's a very slight adjustment, but it could, like, save you frames for free, so just something to pay attention to. I've still got the window active. This is a problem because the layout isn't just the game on full screen. I'm not able to just use the monitor capture and have the full game window capture. I'm having to have it in a separate source, which I'm having to manually adjust. Also, I'm not meant to have this sped down. That singing was like, wow, don't like that. Okay, so early lock, yeah, this is just a basic trick. 50, like, this is damn good actually. 51 check is like really good there. Okay, that. Yeah, you seemed a little surprised there as well. I don't really blame you. Like, this was... I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But again, I'm sure you were just as surprised as that as I am, and, you know, like, to try and avoid that happening. Getting the pivot turn there was nice. I would still try and break these boxes, though. Like, at this point, just firing a shot where you are now and making sure that you're staying on the right side of the hallway, you can still just break these boxes and easily just go through. The only thing that you really want to avoid doing, if you can, on this part, if you're going to be grounded, is not, like, running in the middle. Because if you're in the middle between these two sets of boxes, then you will need to destroy all the boxes, otherwise you're going to collide with them and they'll slow you down. But if you're on either the left or the right side, I personally prefer the right side, then you only need to worry about getting one straight shot to destroy them. And I think it is a little preferable than jumping over them like this and getting a little more airtime, which loses a little bit of time. That lock-on, like, probably could have been a bit faster, but that lock-on's really awkward to get, so I think that's fine. That was nicely timed. You didn't do much cornering there, but you also didn't lose the speed, so I guess that's fine. Getting some early locks here. Like, this is generally quite good. This jump here, though, I think this is, again, similar to the last analysis that I did, that this jump here in particular does not need to be a full hop. Like, I don't know, you could probably get in position slightly faster if you just did a short hop, like with just enough momentum to get up there, and you'll probably get in position to start getting the next lock-ons a little faster. As far as this door opening goes, normally, like, people have the opposite problem that actually happened here, where a lot of people go too fast and bonk on this door as it's opening, but the kind of opposite thing is happening here, where the door has opened, like, quite considerably by the time you're reaching it, and you can just probably be getting to this door, like, slightly earlier, but finding a consistent way to time this is not particularly easy, so this is, like, just a minor thing. But there really isn't, like, too much to talk about in this prison lane, so it's worth bringing up the tiny little details. So, yeah, like, again, like, a full hop here is really not necessary, I'd argue. Like, jumping around this area, like, jumping around this second shadow on the floor is definitely the right place to do this, but I really don't think you need a full hop to get this enemy. I'll just see. I've got a bit of the level to go through again, but we'll see. Because I can, like, show the other parts as well as I'm going through. $114 check, I'm so good. So yeah, as long as you destroy one set of boxes there, like, it's generally fine. That was bad on my part. And then I cornered a bit early there. So that's what I mean about just trying to get a short hop there if you can help it. And you can see there that I did a short hop there and I still targeted that enemy just fine. So if you want to just follow the, like, fundamental movement rules again, as much ground time as you can is generally better than getting a lot of airtime. So there are a lot of spots where your jumps can just be a lot shorter. If there's any problem with your tails movement, I would just say that so far you're spending too much time in the air and it's just losing frames every time you do it. But the fact that the most I can really find out of this is that you're losing frames here and there rather than making huge obvious mistakes, that's really good. Like, that's definitely not bad. Okay, Metal Harbor. So definitely not a bad start. That under loop is very nice. Yeah, me like you so far. Top 20?
Oh my god.
Oh
This
yes.
is
Nice. This is nice.
a great time.
Could maybe be slightly closer. Or squeezing this a little more when you land, because, like, you know, you're landing around here. So you're going to get the immediate light dash, which is nice. But if you want to squeeze this a bit more, you could either be at the very edge or even over the water if you feel like it. It saves very, very little amount of time, but this is, like, the only way to speed up this particular section by doing that. That spin dash chaining was quite nice. So if you want to get like a little more mileage out of the semi-lube skip here, like if you want to get a little more out of when you do this, you can try to like land around here and get a little bit of loop speed, albeit that you can potentially run into problems where the side of this loop will actually just drag you down and you won't make it, but going like fully around, homing, attacking, and landing around here, this is like a little bit slower than landing somewhere around here and getting a little bit of loop speed, if you can help it. So no pulley skip, which I can respect, but if that's going to be the case, if there's going to be no pulley skip here, just pay attention to how early you can afford to actually get off the pulley, because it looks like you waited quite long here. Like, normally, like at this point, I would be jumping off like around here and just trying to get grounded as soon as possible, but like still holding it, still holding it, still holding it, still holding it. So like there's a few frames there, which like obviously it doesn't seem like much, but it kind of compounds itself since you're going higher up, which means you then take longer to get grounded, which means you'll be closer to the next barrier, which means you have less spin dash time. There's a lot of factors that all compound themselves there. Oh yeah. Like right there, you basically reach the ground like at the last opportunity, so I'm actually going to get into Metal Harbor and show this myself. I'm going to be able to get through the stage a little faster because of no light dash to get, although I'm bad at this section, so I use basic strats there. Yeah, that's what I mean about potentially having problems getting around there. So, like a slightly wider berth if you're gonna go for something like that, and then I'm having the other problem. This is like a little tricky, but yeah, this is just something you can do to make this section a little faster if you feel like trying to start doing this. So for this pulley, just something like just getting off like that, and you can see that I land a lot sooner. And if you want to go for another spin dash after that, you can, but you just get grounded and running a lot sooner, so that's something to pay attention to there. So I see you're not going for the loop speed here either. I don't know if this is just because you're not sure about how to get this to really work, but I think, again, this pulley release was also quite late. Yeah, this is actually a very late pulley release, and you end up landing more than halfway across, and then this made it so that you actually needed to do a rotation here to not come off the ledge here. This can just be remedied by, again, releasing and landing sooner. Like, this is actually quite an important spot to get this if you do want to go quickly. Like, I'll start again from down here and just show like what this can potentially look like. Like, there's no need to turn around there. With well-placed movement, you can end up just landing here, running, doing a spin dash charge time, and then being able to just do a regular spin dash from there. And then as far as getting the loop speed as well, you just want to hold the jump for longer than you think until you're fully through the loop like this, and then just do a homing attack once you're through the loop. And easy loop speed there. Let's just take a death and do it again. Like, it seems counterintuitive to hold the jump longer than necessary because you, like, have more air drag, but being able to get a good loop speed boost there and not risk dying, it does more than make up for the time required to do it there. I did it a bit early there, but, like, doing this, like, it's, oh yeah, it's slower, but then that was a very small amount of loop speed that I got, and I'm still going considerably faster than I otherwise would have. And if you can, like, do it from halfway down the slope there, like, this is difficult to gauge, but, oh, nice. I'll just try and do it again. It's a pretty short section. But if you can actually get it from, like, the first vertex on the slope, then it's going to be the best you can get there, because you'll also have a shorter travel path. Like, doing it just from here, you get, you know, a super high angle. But with this slope here, if you can, like, do it from this first vertex here, then you're going to be jumping straight across. That is difficult to gauge, so I would not, like, blame anyone for not wanting to go for that. But if you've got that, then that can end up a lot faster. The only thing to really be aware of there, I would say, is that... Please let me back up. That if you go, like, further than that... Nice, another death. Well, I won't demonstrate this, you'll just have to take my word. That if you go, like, further than that down the slope, then you're probably just not going to have enough distance to make it because your angle's going to be too low. So rather than doing the early homing attack there, I would just recommend holding the jump for longer so that you get more hover frames so that you'll make it more easily. And then you can just homing attack once you're through the loop to get an easy loop speed there. So chaining the two homing attacks here, I'm not a huge fan of. So now I'm actually going to go past this point in the stage. Ooh, hello. Game's hard. Okay, so that time I actually didn't wait long enough until I was fully through the loop, and it did throw me out backwards. So with this, you do want to be more safe than sorry. Just make sure you are through the loop before you do the homing attack, so we'll pay more attention to that this time. Yeah, you can see, like, it's not too bad. So I prefer to just do it all in one there, as you see here. Like, when you came around here, there was, like, one spin dash to get over this, and then you just unrolled and did another spin dash here. I'm not particularly a fan of that, because if you just do hold the one spin dash all the way down here and wait until you're, like, down the bottom of the slope here, you can then start chaining the next spin dash, and it will naturally give you storage to get under the somersault barrier here, like that. And then your next spin dash will come out here, which is just the correct spot to get the spin dash jump across here. I am waiting to see if you're going to attack the beetles here. I didn't even have the... Yeah, it wasn't capturing the game. Shit. This is difficult to manage. This is Tommy's fault for having a different layout, like I said. I'm here anyway, so this is easy enough to set up again. If I can even do it correctly. No, I can't. Alright, bit of time loss, it's fine. So I didn't even show the loop speed stuff before. Oh well. Bad at that. But yeah, again. So that time I just was not going to have enough distance because I really didn't have enough speed there from starting too far back. But fine. Just make sure you're through. Avoid the left speed pad as you did. So this is what I was mentioning before, that doing like two spin dashes here, not really a fan, because you're going to like need a third one to get storage to get under the barrier anyway, whereas if you can just do one smooth one here and unroll at this point and then start charging the next one, then you'll just naturally be in the right position to get the storage and get under there smoothly in one, something like this. It can be a little difficult to gauge, but then it puts you in the right position to do that spin dash jump as well, without needing to get the beetles. So let's see if the beetles are a thing here. No, okay, so that's correct. I definitely agree with not getting the beetles there, because there's just a lot of problems that become apparent there. Oh, okay. So, just homing attacked early there, it looks like. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but it looked like a double... I mean, there's the input cam, so I can only see the input cam here, but I'm going to have another look at what happens here. Yeah, it may be that you came off the slope and then did the input to jump. That's what I assume, because I don't see why you would do a double A input here. But this is the first like actual big mistake of the run, and it's still only a few seconds. So that's not too bad. So people seem to be really split as to whether like going left or right here is better, so I'm not going to pass judgment too much on that. That seemed I mean, that was fine, but the way that you entered this seemed a little odd. Like, maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it seemed like you could have waited a little longer before jumping and only doing a short hop there. I'm not entirely sure, but this spot like wasn't too bad, and that was a very nice loop skip at the end there. Considering you lost like a good 5 seconds on the rocket platform, ending up with a 129 there is still absolutely not bad. Alright, so Shadow. So no spin dash strat, but barely anyone tries that. Okay, so the only thing to pay attention to here is that you missed the last hit because of not going away from him enough, which means then when you started going towards him again, you didn't have enough speed to catch up with him. Like, the second hit, like, let's compare these. So first hit normal, and then you are going away from him, you've got quite a bit of distance from him, like, from here to here. I don't know really how to gauge that, but you're quite a bit of distance away, so that then when you start running towards him again, you've got a lot of speed and you're easily outspeeding him. Whereas this time, there's much less distance between you, and the result of this is that then when you start running back towards him, you've got less time to accelerate, because you also spent some time just running to the left. Basically, by the time you turn up towards him and you start accelerating towards him, there is less acceleration, and you just didn't catch up with him here, so that when his hitbox became active again, you actually just weren't colliding with him properly from not having enough speed. So you do want each like path away from him and then towards him to be deliberate each time, so that you have more than enough speed to actually hit him each time. Alright. So that was quite a direct path there, but one thing I'm noticing here is that you're just holding one spin dash, which I'm not really sure if it's correct. I can actually time this since it's at the very start of the stage, so let's see when you crest over this hill here. So you reach like the crest of this hill about 7.9, like, yeah, 7.9 to like 8 seconds. So let's get in the start of Green Forest, and I mean, albeit the timing is going to be a bit different here because of not starting from a story scene. So what's the time difference? Like 0.85, I think. Either way, we'll see what I get, anyways. And I'm going to try the straight path that you used here. It looks faster to me to unroll and use the second spin dash there. Personally, I think it looks preferable. Like, what I can do is I can compare my times here by doing it and then not doing it. So, try this again first. So, cresting that hill at like 7.1, and I'm going to try it now by just letting the one spin dash roll. So it looks like it's going to be like frames slower. So I guess the only point here is which one is more consistent, like which one will help you stick to the floor more. And I don't know if this is something you've like tested yourself and come to the conclusion this is better, but I personally would just, well, I didn't mean to get the light dash there. I personally would just opt for doing the spin dash chain here rather than letting the one spin dash roll, because if you're using ball form uphill, you're going to decelerate quite rapidly. Yeah, like I came off the hill there, so if you're finding that the other one consistently works, it looks like the difference is very minor, so I guess that's fine. Oh, you meant to do the light dash there. In that case, doing the light dash there is actually slower. So the way that you did it, I mean, I can compare this again. So let's just test again with the way that you did it, and then do it with the light dash. But I know for a fact the light dash is slower. So, just again, I came off the hill, but again, it's going to be like around 7.1, 7.2 by the time you're reaching there. But if I do the light dash, I'm fairly sure I'm going to be slower. It's like about equal-ish, but I think it looks a little slower myself. So again, if the light dash is giving you the consistency of sticking, then it's a suitable alternative, I guess. I just prefer to not use the light dash there because I know it's a little slower by like frames. This was quite nice here though.
How is it 50?
So that just looks a little awkward the way that you here. I think your movement was just a little janky here. Like, ideally, from landing somewhere around here, you want to take as short a path as possible as you can to the rings. But you visibly overshot to the right here and then needed to make quite a severe leftwards adjustment, so this could easily have gone wrong just from how the light dash detection works. I'm sure you know what I mean. Like, basically, in this spot, I'm quite surprised that you actually did go along the light dash trail and didn't just dash along the one. So, yeah.
How is it 15? Felt like 14 at least. I'm confused.
So that's fine, I think, how that happened. That looks... that was odd, but if that works for you... I'm not particularly good at this section either, so I can't really say, oh, you should have done this instead, but that looked very touch and go to me. But, you know, if it works, it works. Just, yeah, try and, I guess, pay attention to how that section is going. Nice getting neutral release here. That's very nice. The speed here could maybe have like been a little better, but you still got like a 43, 44 spring, so that's definitely not bad. Okay, this is... nice. Oh, yeah. That's... yeah. If you're in that position, you do not go for the wall run, if that happens. Like, landing here, this is like exactly where you want to do the wall run from. And being any lower is... you're gonna have a bad time. So then when you slide down like this, and you end up like way lower down the loop, you're not gonna be able to still end up in the right position to get the loop speed homing attack easily. Like, if you're not here, then you're asking for trouble. So at this point, I would have just bailed out by going to the right and doing it normally. Like, you were always going to take a death here. That was just a mistake. So, like, this is... it's still, like, a little low for my liking, but this is at least working this time. But you can see, like, the first time you were, like, way too low for that to work. But this time, you know, this is fine. And this looks like it's just going to be a moonshot. Yeah. Okay, nice bailout, though. That clearly, like, didn't go the way you wanted, but you did bail out quite efficiently, so I will give points for that. The spin dashing here looked a little inefficient. Because this is a good spot to end up on, but... okay, well, yeah, your speed's a little different here from what I would normally have here, because you, because with any variant of a wall run that you're doing, you're not really going to have full speed because you don't have the homing attack to be able to land, because you use the homing attack to augment your distance. So then once you did this, like... it's a slightly awkward position that you ended up in. I will play through the stage just to show a comparison point. Nice one, game. I also didn't get the checkpoint, so I better not die. I may as well get the capture up. I mean, I'm not at the relevant part of the stage, but there's no reason for me to not display the capture. What? Right, awkward section. Yeah, like I say, I don't have good times with this section either. It's going about as badly as it can. Didn't get the neutral release, but this vertex still works quite well, so that's the next best spot to end up in, I think. Middle spring's not very good there, and I don't do the immediate. So I'm not going to go for the wall run. I'm just going to go for the regular. Show like the difference with how you land from the bungee skip area. So I will be getting the checkpoint here just in case. I normally wouldn't, but you know, for the sake of demonstration. So I gotta come follow me. So if I homing attack to land with a lot of speed here, then I'm going to naturally just have come on. A lot of speed here, and I barely need to spend any time chaining my spin dashes there. And I should be able to even get the loop speed there, yeah. But there seemed to be like an alternative thing going on here where... Nice camera. Nice death. Let's just destroy the enemies to keep them out of the way. Please. Right. So like there seemed to be like an alternative thing here where you like just were around here and... I don't know, the position just looked awkward here. It might have just been the way you chain the spin dash or the movement, but you weren't going very fast here, and then... Yeah, it's difficult to gauge the positioning there, because your spin dash here always wants to be like around this part if you can help it. And the angle, moreover, for then getting the loop speed, like it's difficult to gauge, because if you go like just straight forward, then you're going to, you know, end up in the exact wrong position there. But if you overcompensate by having a lot of right on your control stick angle, then you're just going to get tons of height, and you're not going to have any chance at getting the loop speed at all. Because you're just going to go super high, and then even with like homing attack cancel, you're like barely making it to the other side. It's a little awkward. But this was quite nice, and you should... Okay, you're doing another like early homing attack here, which this one strikes me as a little odd, because from this angle here, you definitely had enough distance. Like, you're just going to break through the loop naturally, so I don't think there's any reason to do this early homing attack. You should just wait until you're through the loop, do a regular homing attack, and just take the loop speed. I don't think this was risky at all in this position. And that did look like a homing attack cancel rather than a homing attack, so like if you are going to go for the loop speed there, it is important that you do a homing attack instead of a homing attack cancel. Like, you won't get loop speed with a homing attack cancel. So Vine here is just an option that some people use. The only way this can be like slightly faster is, well, there's two things you can do here which are like worth tenths each. First of all, making sure that you jump a little later and don't jump too high here, so that you are actually grounded as soon as you get here. All this airtime is like slightly slower, because when you're landing here, you don't have like any time to charge a spin dash. Basically, the point here is that if you can land as soon as possible, it is possible to get another very short... Wow, all those vertex changes. I was trying to charge a spin dash the whole time, but if you land as soon as possible here, hopefully I don't miss this. Yeah, I did. You can see what I mean, I have the bounce bracelet here, so that made it more awkward than it needed to be. Let's see if I can just force this again. This is like more difficult than it would be in a new game run, because in a new game run I can safely hold the B button while in the air and I won't bounce because I don't have the bounce bracelet. But I'm just going to need to like manually try and do it after I've landed here. Like that. You can do a spin dash there, and that is slightly faster, but the inputting is quite tight for it, and it's easy to make a mistake there. So if you don't want to go for that, it's like, it barely saves any time. So, you know, I'm not going to berate anyone for not getting that. It's a very slight optimization, and it's not risk-free. But just, again, when the run is as good as it is, because 36:15 is a very decent runtime, I do have to look at the slight improvements that are possible. Like, there's nothing huge to talk about here. The only two big mistakes so far have been the rocket platform on Metal Harbor, and then, you know, dying on War Run. Those are the only two actual errors this run so far. The rest is just, like, tiny little mistakes. Similarly, I don't really have anything to say about this Pumpkin Hill yet. Like, this is nice. This is a very direct route, and it's fast movement towards King of the Hill, so, like, I just really don't have anything to say about this. This is just good. The piece set kind of sucks, but the movement was very nice. Getting King of the Hill is never good, but then, like, the movement was good enough that a sub 40 with that, like, I really don't have anything to say about that. That was just a good Pumpkin Hill. So I would suggest for Mission Street just trying to use a shorter line at the start of the stage. What I try to do at the start of Mission Street all the time is just a line that's going slightly towards the cars like this. Like, if you can stay on this sort of line, like this exact line here, then, yeah, you're going to cut this corner nice and tight. And even if you, like, hit the cars, which, like you did on PB here, it's a very minor time loss. And this is only really important in the first place if you're going for the IGT save on the upgrade. So we'll see if that's a thing. Because if you're not, then you don't really need to save any time here. Yeah, because this is just very wide and there's a lot of car hits. But again, if you're not going to go for the IGT abuse, then it's not really important in the first place. Okay, this is a bit odd, but, you know, that worked. Like, a 2285 here, so let's compare this. So you've got a 2285 upgrade here. And let's just try and get a clean start, what I would consider a clean start here, and let's see what we come out with. Because I'm going to take a quote-unquote wider path coming up to the upgrade as well, because I prefer to go around the right. But let's just see what smoother and tighter lines in general we'll get here. So that wasn't particularly clean getting up to the upgrade, and that was like still like 3-ish tenths of a second better, and that was with a worse line at the end as well, because you took the left side, I took the right side. So if you're going to use the IGT abuse, which it looks like you're doing here, then, you know, you're going to be saving tenths of a second by just making sure the start of the stage is as optimized as it can be. Yeah, you're definitely going for the IGT here. So that's just some free time you can be getting by trying to take smoother and tighter lines at the start there. This is pretty standard, yeah. So nice. So, you know, the jumping there was a little awkward, but the only important thing is that you make the cycle, which you did, so that's fine. The way that you exited this weight looked a little awkward to me. Let's take another look at this. Yeah, it's because you were standing on the middle of the weight when you started moving. I don't really like that because it means you're going to have less speed at this point. Like, let's see what your checkpoint time is here. I mean, I'm not going to be able to simulate this, but I've had 44 checks without too much difficulty when I don't have, like, as much time save on the upgrade. Like, I can be at, like, 0.5 on the upgrade and still go on to get a 44 check. Which means that there's like at least a couple of tenths of a second like here as well, which are coming out from just the positioning on the thingamabob. So let's have a look at this. Nice. It's not really important because I'm trying to demonstrate the upcoming cycle. Do I have... I don't have mouse cursor enabled on the game, so I'm just going to do that quickly as well. There we go. Okay. So what I would really like to see on this final platform here, like I was talking about, first of all, get the 360 no scope. That's really important. But if you can wait like on the edge here so that Tails is like jittering, this is a really good place to start from, and you can safely, as you're reaching on that platform, you can safely set it up because you know you're online with the previous platform. So like at this point when it's like coming down, you can just know that you're on the right position there and you'll be able to do it. And then my cue for when I start going is pretty much when the edge of this platform is like lining up with this background part here. So pretty much at this time I'm just going to start moving forward and then hover jump to progress. So we'll let the cycle come down once more and like show that just in effect. And you can make it up there. Like I had, I did rub up because I went slightly early, so I had very little speed. But you can potentially make it so that you're going to be able to do this with a lot more speed. You can also try just running onto the platform from here and stopping manually as it's coming down. Like something like this. And then just try something like this. So let's try going a little later, like I say, and really only start running once this part does start lining up with this spot here. Wasn't on the platform, that's fine. So there you can see that because I don't rub up against this platform here, this wall, that I have a lot more speed once I get on there. That's just going to save a little bit of time to make zero cycle a little more lenient. So, jumping to avoid the police car there, I don't really agree with in principle. I don't think it's ever necessary, and that's because if you just run through the police car, I think it loses even less time than taking the jump here, decreasing your ground speed. The way that you took the cage skip here was actually completely fine. Like, you had a lot of distance when you started doing the cage skip, and you cleared it fully, so the cages themselves didn't slow you down, but I do disagree with jumping over the car here. Like, you tried to shoot for it at first and missed, so shooting for it is definitely the correct play. And I think the only reason that you jumped over it was because you missed it, but I think it's just better in general to just run straight through it. So I'm not even going to go for it, I'm just going to run straight through it. Like, you can see, it basically doesn't slow you down. So by jumping over it, all you're doing is losing a little bit of time from the just having airspeed, which is slower than ground speed. But if you run through it, it's not going to slow you down. So I just wouldn't bother with doing that in general. Because when you're trying to meet zero cycle, you know, just you know, save every 10th that you can. And by shooting that, by jumping over that car, it's not gaining any time. Well, even if you are, like, jumping over the border, at the same time, airspeed is just slower than having ground speed. So I wouldn't really agree with it. I don't like where this is going. Let's frame advance this and see where you end up. Oh boy, that was lucky. That looked really hairy to me. So, again, if you want to, like, save a little bit of time here, because you're, like, doing multiple jumps and slowing down here, it's like, I'm not so sure about this. What I instead prefer to do is basically what happened here, where you triggered the weight, turned around, and then you faced to the right and then did the shot. I mean, this shot still missed, but I think this is the correct idea, as long as you can, like, try and consistently get this. Not capturing the game. Just go through. I actually went straight through the enemy there. Fuck! Come on, this is hard to handle. Like, what you'll typically see me do in runs quite a lot is waiting to trigger the weight. Like, I'll get the enemies out of the way here. So you'll typically see me do something like this, if I haven't already broken it by that point. And then you can just get the box, hopefully, very quickly. As far as where you're actually waiting on the weight here, this is actually nice, but you do start running a bit later than you need to. Like, let's see where you get this hover jump here. Like, you jumped before you reached the end of the weight, and you didn't do a pause hover, and you still made it quite comfortably. So a couple of things can be squeezed a little more there, and just, you know, a little bit more time gotten out of it. What I typically like to do here is, I wait at the same point you do, like at the start of the weight here. But as soon as the camera does, like, the little awkward turn that it does once you reach a certain height, you can just start going and then just jump off the edge of the weight like that. Hopefully you'll see what I mean here. So, go, and then just go. And you can see that I've got spare height there, but I had as much speed as I could have there because I waited as long as possible before jumping off the weight. But I don't think you're making this cycle. Unless, okay, yeah, barely made that cycle because you had a very good hover jump there, but it's just because of all the little things that accumulated over the stage, that was a lot tighter than it needed to be, if you know what I mean. So yeah, you, at this point, I don't know if you know this now between when this PB took place and now, but you directly caused the jet to come there by shooting a lot. And what I prefer to instead do here is not shoot at all. So we just make it here. Do a little bit of a dance because why not? It's riskier, so obviously it's better to go for it. But once you clip in back here, I think it's better to just not shoot at all. The bomb robot is not going to hit you, and if you don't shoot, then the jet will not come along at all. Like you can see, you're just uninterrupted, and by running up here, that I can wait around here, and it's only if you wait around there that the bombs are actually going to catch up with you and hit you. Like if you go far enough, then it seems they just get easily despawned. So I prefer to just not shoot there whatsoever. Yeah, that's what causes that, Tommy. I mean, I may as well, I'll bring the game up and do it again. So, I should be able to still play the event here. So pretty much as soon as I press the B button. No? It could be like because I've gone too far here and now the event's not playing. But I'm going to take a death and demonstrate it again. Because I'm right here. I've got the checkpoint right here, so I can show this easily. So once again, I'm going to not press the B button at all, and the jet's not going to come along. Yeah, you see, it's fine here. And again, once I get past here, yeah, like when I'm pressing the B button around here, the jet comes along immediately. So this time I'm going to just do a lot of shots to get the enemy out of the way, and the jet is going to come along pretty consistently here. Like once I'm back in, I'm just going to start pressing the B button. And then just once I'm shooting there, fuck, I didn't mean to restart. Either way, you get the point. You get the point. This sucks because now I'm probably going to want to demonstrate this final corridor here, unless this is really good, and I'm going to have to play through the whole stage to get there again. I did not on full screen. Yeah, okay, so this I do think it's important to show, so unfortunately I am going to have to play through the stage again. I didn't mean to take that restart, that was just an error on my part. I don't need to get the upgrade though, so this is going to be slightly faster than normal. Just again, if you can, make your paths nice and short and tight, if you can. Oh, we're on minus cycle pace, guys. This is so good. So, nice bit of speed there. 43 check without upgrade abuse, because, I mean, you know, I'm a cycle ahead, so it's whatever. That's as good as that can be. I got the car out of the way, and I got over there with, like, full speed, I think. This is fine. You can afford one major mistake and still get 0 cycle. And then I missed that for walk of shame. But I didn't try and get the early break, so this is fine. Because this isn't what I'm like trying to demonstrate here. Because what we're really worried about here is the final corridor. Game's going to be really loud here, unfortunately, though. There may be a secret spa around here. Yeah, this is going to be really loud, I apologise. So, don't shoot. Just be a pacifist. Jet will not come along until you're already past that spot where it can't harm you. So I'm going to get the enemies and obstacles out the way here first. Alright, so if you want to take this section quickly and smoothly, then what needs to happen is that, like, you're going to need to pretty much do what you did for the first part here, just getting through here smoothly if you can. But what you then did at this point is you try to hug the wall, and if you do that, then your collision on this set of boxes is basically going to be borderline random, if you're just hugging the wall as you go around here. Sometimes you're going to get through, sometimes you're not. When instead what you want to do is, as soon as you get through here, let me reset the camera. Okay. As soon as you get through here, you want to angle up a little like this, and then just turn into the wall here, and you will have a much easier time getting through. Like, you can see on there, I had no collision when I got near those boxes. And we'll try it again. Again. That's what actually causes you to get through there really smooth. Like, it looks counterintuitive to take the slightly wider path there, but it will cause you to get through here a lot more consistently. It was a lot of effort just to demonstrate that small part. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Not slowing down, so you're clearly turning with the camera, which is nice. And you know, coming out with a 206 with without really getting too much out of the IGT abuse and slowing down a little in the final corridors there, that's about what I would expect. That's like, you know, fine. Alright, let's see the aquatic mine magic. Do we have any free pieces? Yep. Privyet free piece. And of course, Tommy knows how to get the story mode boost at the start because you have control of Knuckles as soon as the level starts. That was a little odd, but you know, movement errors are going to happen from time to time. So grounding as soon as possible, nice, yeah. Punching through there is definitely possible, yeah. That's a little awkward there, but whatever. Yeah, hints, tricky. So there was like some minor execution mistakes there, but you know, that was still a very solid stage overall. Let's see, Route 101. A surprising number of people have been not practicing good driving habits, so let's see how this goes. I think Tommy's going to be a lot better, though. So, this turn is just fairly wide, is the only criticism I'd make here. And yeah. You can, there's no reason to not use the first boost earlier. Like, because of the ring route, because you are going to have enough rings for a boost at the next spot that you want, there's no reason to not use this boost here. Like, you've taken an upslope and it's reduced your speed a little bit. You may as well just use this boost here to gain the little bit of speed back. Like, it saves a very little amount of time, but as I say, since you're going to get enough rings by the time you need to use the next boost, there's no reason to not do that here. Like, using the boost on the downslope there, like, this just doesn't do anything. Like, this doesn't make you go any faster is the thing, so you may as well have used that before, because then you're going to get the next boost here anyway, so, you know, you could be +1 boost here. And this is telling that the lap time is like 38.4, so since I haven't played Route 101 on this play session yet, I'm going to be able to do it. So I'm going to try, like I say, paying attention to looking at my lines, making sure they're like tight, and also I don't have the game being captured. And also using the first boost where I mentioned. And the lap time is going to be a little better than 38.4, hopefully. So take that tight if you can. And I'm already a bit ahead of the car here. Granted, I made a big mistake there. That was actually quite severe. But we'll see what the lap time comes out as. Yeah, so like I made like a big mistake there, and I'm only like a tenth or two behind, which suggests that there is a little bit of room for improvement there. I get that ring trail here, but if your ring route works without it, then that's, you know, totally fine. I would suggest modifying the way that you take this turn. Like, if you just are a little more conservative here, so that you are going to be having less turning momentum here, you want to like be around here and then just angle around this car to take the inside turn, because then what happens here is that, like, if you can be straightened out here and then start turning, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be like a little wider at this point, but it's going to make it so that you're going to go around this car, because basically at this point you are trying to stagger your movement a little so that you don't run into the car, which is definitely correct at this point, but there's no reason that you can't be, well, one, a couple of tenths of a second ahead, which I mentioned, and then it means that you're going to have a tighter turn here. I'm trying to frame advance, but it's so slow. Yeah, so that at this point you're taking a very wide turn here when you could already be like going around here and just scraping by the car. Which is, this is actually quite a significant turn, so I would try and pay attention to that if you can. It's difficult though, it is difficult, that turn. Having the inside turn there is not bad. I'm going to assume that the ring route that you're using is deliberate, unless I have reason to suspect otherwise. I'm not entirely sure about when you release that boost. I think using the boost in midair there causes you to just lose a bit of speed once you get grounded again, so I personally wait until I've hit the ground here before I use this boost. Like, this looks to me like you're not going full speed. But then you do want to have that boost there. I don't agree with not taking this balloon here, because so you boost here, or if you've used the boost here, if you then take the balloon that you've just passed, you'll have another boost ready. But the point is that if you don't take that balloon, you're probably not going to have another boost after this ring trail here. So in other words, if you'd use the boost that you currently have, then without the balloon, I don't think at this point you'd have the next boost, which is important because then you ideally would like to be able to use this boost at the top of this hill. With the lap 2 time being what it is, 1:23.1, you wouldn't really want to use a boost here anyway, because it will make the cycles at the next part of the stage a lot more awkward to work around. But again, if you're playing well from the start of the stage and taking the turns sharply and everything, you will have a much better lap time than this. And that being the case, you want a boost to be able to use here on this straightaway to get you back up to full speed. But yeah, as it is, this is a little awkward to work around here with the car cycles being where they are. This red car is going to be out of the way of the ring trail, which is nice. Which means the yellow taxi up ahead at this point should also be out of the way of the next ring trail. Just, yeah. By quite a wide margin, actually. But then, you know, you don't have a boost here, so it all just kind of makes it a little difficult to play around. The important part, though, is that you want the boost here. Yeah, so that's fine. As long as you get this boost and you can do this straight away with full speed, that's, you know, fine. So this looks like it's going to be a high 216 from what I can tell. I mean, Route 101 is just a stage where a million little things can cause problems. Oh, that's a low 270. That's a little worse than I expected then. But yeah, the main thing really with Route 101 is to try and take the tightest path possible. If Geek does use it midair, then that probably does end up being a bit faster, if it's what Geek does, because, you know, he's the most knowledgeable about Route 101. But what do I know? So this is kind of, I think everyone I've looked at so far has the same problem here at the start of Hidden Base. This definitely warrants getting the game feed up. It's at the start of the stage, so it's easy to look at as well. Everyone seems to make the same problems here though, which is slowing down as you're approaching the lock-on spots. And that is simply caused by turning too sharply here. Like, if you turn when you're grounded there, then you're going to lose a lot of speed. So ideally, what you want to happen is... Am I even going to make this again? Yeah, whatever. Ideally, you want to hover jump across the gap like you're doing, but then you want to do the air cornering by the time you touch down. So, like that. You do run into problems like you're seeing here, where you have very little room to maneuver, but... you know, with some smooth movement, you can get through it without falling into the sand. This is, like, quite difficult, and this definitely warrants practice, but the reason that this is all difficult to get to come together in one is that if you end up around here, then this third lock-on is quite difficult to get. Like, if you're too far to the right here, you just won't get this third lock-on, even if you're facing directly towards the dynamite. Like, if I'm around here, I don't think I'm going to get this third lock-on. Yeah, like, I'm wiggling around, but I'm not getting the lock-on because this is positional based. So if you're around here, like around the right-hand side, then you're just not going to get this. So you want to be more on the left side, which, you know, it's difficult to manage while not slowing down, but it's worth looking at just as a slight optimization. So ideally, you want it to look something like this. Now you can see that I managed to physically, manually get all three lock-ons without really slowing down, and you can try and compound that a little by landing as soon as possible. So I'm going to try to get a short path here. Okay, I actually hit the metal crate here. Yeah, this is tricky with the camera not then being the same way that it is at the start of the stage. So that's like the ideal situation you want to be in there. You've got a very short amount of airtime. you land with full speed, and you get all three of the lock-ons without, falling in the sand. That's the ideal that you're striving for there. That is difficult to practice, but then, as I say, because it's at the very start of the stage, you can practice it quite rapidly without too much problems. But yeah, ideally, just try and get that without slowing down. The rest of this is nice so far, though. Okay, so if you're going to go for the axle jump route here, what I think is a little better is just doing a single hover jump off the first door. So this is the second door, and I think it's a little better to just do a single hover jump off this one and get the full distance. So let's have a look. So like something like this you could maybe consider if you're going to go for this route. And then just drop as soon as you're through the wall. I also wasn't actually paying too much attention here to how tight the jumps were here. So let's have another look at this. Okay, this is nice actually. Those jumps were quite late. I've got the game feed enabled, but you can take my word for it. Those jumps were quite late. And yeah, we can just bring this back. So right here, you wait fairly long before doing these jumps, which results in you having no spare airtime on these jumps. Like, you jump, like around here, and as soon as you reach these new platforms, you are immediately grounded, which is nice. This is a nice optimization. Like, a lot of people ignore this, but I think that's quite important to pay attention to. I'm also, if anyone, including Tommy, would like to take a couple of minutes, I actually really need the bathroom. So I'm going to BRB quickly. I'll be as quick as possible, but if you want to grab a drink or something, now's a good time to do it. Alright, bathroom break's done quick. Ready to resume? Just got a snack here as well, hope people don't mind. Alright, let's carry on. This is a nice axle jump. Okay, the only thing to pay attention to here is in Hidden Base, and this is going to apply throughout all of Hidden Base, camera control is like super important. The only way that you really lost time here was by not landing as soon as possible. And without camera control, it's difficult to gauge. Like, if I just maintain auto cam here, then, I can't see where I'm going to land, and it's, you're always going to have problems with landing a little later than you can afford. There are a lot of spots in Hidden Base. Pretty much any time that you get out of direct bounds, you just want to tap a camera button so that you force free cam. So again, you get the quick start there by not slowing down. But as soon as you're out of bounds anywhere, like you're going to see, once I do axle jump again, I'm going to tap a controller, a shoulder button, sorry, and then it's going to force free cam very quickly. So, bang. So now I have a different camera view where I can see where I'm going to land. And typically what I like to do is, knowing how quickly I can afford to drop to land on solid ground, I just wait for the spot that I'm aiming for, like, which in this case is, this corner here. I want to be able to land around here. As soon as this goes off the bottom of the camera, that's typically when it's safe to go. So at this point, I'm just, I'm not holding A anymore. I'm going to unpause and I'm not holding A. and you land pretty safely around there. So as soon as you wait until your target is off the bottom of the screen, then that's when it's safe to land there. I'll just show that one more time. And again, this is made a lot easier by just making sure that you're forcing free cam by using a shoulder button. So, shoulder, and then once it goes off screen, it's safe to do that. So that's a nice little trick that you can use there, and this applies virtually everywhere. That you force free cam like that, and then once your target goes off the bottom of the screen, then that's typically when it's safe to drop and land. I like this. This was pretty nice. So I think you just missed the corner boost here. Yeah, you had like just a little too much height here. Like this is a minor thing, but if you again, you can go sooner rather than later here, and it will typically get you better results. Also, just try and make sure your path here is quite straight. Like, you wobbled quite a lot on the way along here, so that's minor though. But if you do it, just go sooner rather than later and make sure that you get the corner boost there, then, you know, that's quite free to go for. Like, it's very difficult. You'd have to go really, really early in order to go too early and just not make it. So yeah, you can go a little earlier there, and it's relatively safe. That's not going to be enough height, yeah. So that to me just looked like your speed, I think, was a little low, and it looked like you went quite early. And by going early, it means you are a little slower as well, because you have less ground time, which means you spend less time accelerating. So the main takeaway here is just to make sure that you're going as late as possible. This is why this can be easy to miss, because what I typically do a lot of the time is accidentally inputting by the time I've already left the ledge. Okay, you're actually like... Yeah, you're like fairly close there by the time you got to the edge of the ledge, but then there is visibly a couple of frames between you jumping and... let's see how many frames, actually. So the jump starts here, so 1, 2... So that... I mean, okay, there's a couple of frames. You know, it's difficult to get much... tighter than that, but you really want to make this as tight as possible. I may be able to see how many frames there are between the unpause and 1, 2. So it looks like there's a couple of frames between the unpause and the hover input as well. So all in all, this looks like it's about 5 or 6 frames for the hover jump, which, yeah, for a jump like this, you do want to do tighter than that if you can help it. Like, that pretty much was the reason that you didn't make this. Still though, 54 with axle jump is still quite respectable. Like, I'll try this from the start of the stage, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get better than a 53. Game capture. Tricky. Don't at me. Thanks very much, Joe. So this is a good test. Let's see if I can still get a 54 from here with a failed one here. So optimizing a little here. Trying to go a little early here. Got the blaster helping me along a bit here. Trying to maximize my ground time here. Trying to go as straight as I can here. Hopefully not miss the corner boost here as well. So that's enough height here. Again, trying to get as much ground time as I can. So a low 54 here. So yeah, that was with a second triaxle jump, so I probably lost like a second here. So I was looking at having like a low 53. Probably the absolute best you're getting with that route is like a high 52. So there really like wasn't much time loss between those two. It's just like, again, the little things to pay attention to. It's like this is where like seconds can manifest themselves just from little like movement mistakes. Obviously, like you didn't get the long hover jump at the dynamite packs, but I also got a second triaxle jump, and I still ended up like you know, a full second faster, and it's just because of the little things that add up here and there. And this is when people wonder how they're losing like several seconds or 10 seconds in a stage like Hidden Base. That's how it happens, because there's just every single part of the stage is an opportunity to lose 1/10 of a second from making minor errors. So, like, similarly here, it looks like to me you can go very slightly earlier here. What I typically do here is follow an audio cue for when to jump. Like, as you're going up, you collect the rings, and I just try and go on the 4th ring sound. So you go, like, slightly after it. Let's listen to it. I'll slow it down to, like, half, so you can see exactly what I mean. So yeah, like, between the 4th and 5th rings you go, whereas I typically try to do it, like, as I'm reaching the 4th ring, and that still is pretty safe, in my opinion. Lol, I died. The checkpoint's right there. So you can see, like, I went slightly earlier there because I went, like, as I was reaching the 4th ring, and I'm still making it over here quite comfortably. Let's see how this door break goes as well. Yeah, I can see, like, you tried to do it early there, but this is one of the most difficult early door breaks in the whole game, honestly. Let's bring this back. Yeah, like, I can totally see missing this. This is very difficult to do. Maybe just, like, practice this. I can't really suggest what to do, but this is very difficult to get this door before you reach it. So slowing down a bit here, I totally understand. Getting the pulse hover off there is very nice. That's a little faster than what I do. 114 check is still not really bad. You can go a little faster on this pulley. So it's pulling you up, you're waiting. There's a lot of frames here. Like, there's pretty much half a second between when you start rising on the pulley, between that and when you actually go, and you can actually go a lot sooner than that. Yeah, so I didn't even get the perfect door break there. I broke it down sooner, but I still slowed down, so that's just really difficult to get. And what I do here instead is use the corner, which is like a little slower because it's a little wider, but I find it a lot easier to do, and I don't need to do another pause hover. So, yeah, 113 check, there you go. So you can go off this pulley pretty much as soon as you see it pulling you up. You can use full down direction to boost yourself along, as long as you go early enough that you don't really get influenced by the camera turning, and that's just about going as soon as you can. So I'm going to just go as soon as the pulley starts pulling me up. And you can still comfortably make it to the other pulley. Whereas what you did was like more something like this. Which, like, it looks like a minor difference, but again, we've seen evidence of so far in the stage. Hidden Base is all the tiny little optimization, so just as soon as you see it going up, just go, hold down, and you'll still make it across there fairly comfortably. And that will be a few tenths of a second faster than what happened here. Because actually, like, this is worth noting, like, when you reach the pulley, like the other side of the pulley here, you actually had quite a bit of spare height. Like, you're visibly above the pulley here, and then Tails actually gets clipped down. So you've got tons of spare height here. So there really is no need to wait this long. And yeah, look how far down you get pushed, just so that Tails, like, is on the pulley there. Like, you have a lot of spare time there. Yeah, this box is difficult, it's tricky. I can't, again, really suggest what I do here. I just know how to turn left, jump, and hit the box, typically. Like, I mean, I missed it there, but you can see what I was trying to do. You kind of just have to practice this and get the feel of it, but yeah, it's definitely a thing. And again, this is where the tenths of a second come from in this stage. If each of these like door shots, I want to say, can like be a little faster as well. Like, if you get a nice feel for how quickly you can fire the shots to break the door down a little faster. It's tricky because if you just mash too fast, then the shots aren't going to come out properly and you'll miss hits on the door, but, you know. That, I think, is like a little faster than what happened there. I'll just have another go at it from the checkpoint. Like the full segment, trying to get the full segment in one go from the checkpoint. Like, that's a significantly faster door break than what happened in the PB there. Like, every single section there was just, like, little bits faster, which means that whole section is probably coming out about a second and a half faster, maybe 2 whole seconds faster. This is just, like, where all the time loss comes from in Hidden Base for a lot of people, because it's, like I say, just all the little things, they're insignificant on their own, but there's so many sections that count that it really starts rapidly adding up. Fuck, I did not exit full screen. This is shit. I hate YouTube. You don't need a hover jump as long as you have nice speed here, which you are in a nice position for, because you do take the correct path here, like going wide around the enemies. This does give you enough speed to not need to worry about this jump here. Like, you should be able to make this jump without needing a hover at all. If you want to, like, do it to be safe, it's like, it's fine, it's not the end of the world, but you don't really need a hover to make this first gap. You, depending on where this rising and falling cycle is here, you should use a hover just to be safe on the second one, but for the first one, it's not really necessary. Like, I'll just show it here. Like, you can do that fairly comfortably, but the gap is quite a bit wider on this second one, so just for the first one, even if it's, like, at the top, you can still make it without a hover fairly comfortably, and then this is the route that you should be taking here, so let's see what happens here. Okay, so you are taking this very safe, which I don't know if you've tried what I just did there, but you can see from what I did that you really don't even need a pause hover to comfortably make this section. So maybe it's worth you trying, especially if you're pause hovering and getting more leeway, that there's no reason that you can't just be doing this. I mean, if you've tried it and you're dying a lot, then, you know, I totally understand taking the safe. It's much better than taking a death. But you'd be surprised how little momentum you actually need to get up here, because I've demonstrated this a few times. Please destroy the enemy's tails. Right, so with this section, with just a regular jump, you can see the tails is already, like, nearly making it up here. And obviously, with a hover jump, you're getting up easily. You don't actually need a hover jump to get up here. If you just do what the game, you know, the casual application of the hover, which is to jump, and then hover at the peak of the jump, you'll still make it up here. You can see there, you don't need a hover jump to make it up here. So similarly, in this sort of section, you barely need a hover jump to comfortably make it up there. I actually just... well, I didn't have the jump input there. Let's try that one too. Please. So I did like a full hover there. But let's try just doing it with like barely a hover. I'm probably making this more risky than I need to, but yeah. So with taking a longer path like that, you do like want to hover there, but I'm showing like you can get it quite easily without even needing a pause hover. As long as your hover is decent, that's safer than it looks. By the way. That's the correct path to take there, though, so that's not bad. I don't disagree with that. The only thing I disagree with here is how long it takes you to get back in bounds. Like, there's a couple of enemies here and here, which I think you're shooting for, and you didn't get the lock-ons, and this might have been why you spent so long out of bounds, just to make sure you don't hit them. I do get that, but in case you aren't aware that this is a thing in Hidden Base, then this is worth pointing out. So once you get out here and you just destroy these enemies, let's just get the enemies out of the way. The thing about being back in bounds in this section is that this wall pushes you along. This wall forces you to go faster. So the earlier you can get back in here, granted it's difficult with the enemies being around here, but if you can get back in here and run along this wall, it is just flat out faster. Can I get this over here? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I know what I can do here. Yeah. So ideally what you want it to look like is something like this. Just hopefully get the enemies here and then just run along this wall and it will boost you along a little faster. Which is nice. Nice, getting the 3 lock-ons there. This is a nice section. And then, with that final pulley, just the same thing again, that you can be going slightly earlier. Because it will give you a lot more upward momentum than it seems. Just get the enemies out of the way. So there's no need to like wait until something like this and then go. As soon as it starts pulling you up, you're gonna have enough height to be able to make that. And you can just go save a couple of tenths. It's all pretty reasonable there.
So close to sub 150.
So if that was like an RTA gold, if that was like 150 and that's the best RTA you've gotten, I just want to see what I can get on a pretty typical hidden base run through. I'm going to try not to like restart for a good start. I just want to get like a reasonable run through the stage. With the basic route as well, just the axle jump route. Oh. Free camp. Still got enough height for this. Forcing free cam again there. I waited a bit long there, but something went wrong there. Damn. Okay, that's a mistake. That's a big mistake. Wow. But let's see what damage we can make back here. 56 check. So this is like 2 seconds behind where you were. That door break was okay, but it still wasn't perfect. I'm missing May skip as well. So 116 check. So let's just, yeah. So you see here, it's like I was a couple of seconds behind, and now by the end I'm a couple of seconds ahead, because just all the little things just add up that rapidly. So with a clean like start and middle, this would have been like a 145 or better. I have the laser blaster, but I still got all the targets. I still got all the lock-ons that I needed.
I'm still losing like 10 seconds somewhere on this stage using the same strats. It's definitely possible.
Nah, I didn't miss any, because the ones at the very end, like I was still aiming and blasting the last one away by the time I got to where I actually was, so that would have been like very negligibly different without the blaster, if any at all, and everything else I did manually get. Like, I don't think on any of the dynamite packs I got before that I actually did miss any lock-ons. Fucking full screen again.
Analysis is really good.
Well, I mean, like, Tommy, you've probably seen like enough 145-ish hidden bases on my actual stream during hero runs to like know exactly what I'm driving at. Nice corridor at the start of hidden base though. Hidden base, pyramid cave. All right, well let's see what this pyramid cave is then. It's starting out nicely enough. I would prefer to be on the right hand side here, just so you've got a shorter path. Like since you've let's go back. Since you've got the downtime of having the spare height here and needing to wait to come down, you may as well just land on the right hand side, so you've got a shorter path. That's just a small thing to take notice of. Spin dash hover there is nice, I like that. You know, it's a 30 upgrade, this isn't a bad start. That route is different to what I do, but it's also quite nice. And this is nice as well. There's some spare height here, but this is fine. Because you're getting to like this spot with this camera at like 43. I consider, if it's like 42 here, I think I'm on like a really, really good run. So this is still very nice overall. Okay, one thing I definitely advocate for here is using stickless movement at this spot. I'm just going to play through Pyramid Cave myself. And get up to near this spot so I can show. I'm going really slow here. Yeah, it's a 13 check. So this is what I mean, like, right here, there's no real reason to not go to the right here. And just have a straight path here. Alright, so, I mean, here, like I say, I'm like 41-3. This is like a really nice start, and that was with, I mean, I didn't get the upgrade, so there's that. But I also had a 13 check. Either way, so what happens here is, I'm just going to slow this down. So you exit the rail here, and you're wobbling around a little with your angle here. Based on, like, just how the camera can behave with the walls, that can cause, like, some awkward things to happen that are just, frankly, unnecessary. Hello, YouTube? I'm trying to get the speed setting. YouTube is fucking shitting itself right now. I actually can't... Alright, I'm just going to do this in the meantime. So, I mentioned just using stickless here. It's very valuable here because when you get out of this rail, like, I'm not using the control stick now, you're just facing in this direction, and there is nothing that can go wrong there if you use stickless. And if you then just continue to hold B out of the rail, I'm just going to go back along the whole rail. So if you just hold B through the rail, then you'll automatically get a spin dash out of here, and it's in a convenient spot here. You can then just angle it to the right, let it go, again stickless, and then if you have stickless input here, when you hit the wall, Sonic will just travel parallel to the wall with full speed. That's like a foolproof way to take that section. See if I can fix YouTube now. No, I don't think so. Alright, I'm going to actually reload the page. There we go. Got there in the end. I need to refine where I was. Okay.
Oh, it's high. Damn it. I'm actually losing time when I'm going that high.
So yeah, like I say, stickless there I really like using.
It was perfect.
Just pay attention to where you're doing it and make sure you've got a full charge. The spot that you were doing that actually seemed like a little awkward. Like, let's compare this. Like, standing like around here, this is like the typical, you know, accepted sort of spot to do it from. I've found lately that I have a lot more success with this if I do it from a bit closer to the door, like around here. I just find this a lot easier to hit. Something about maybe you have more speed or it changes the way you interact with the door a bit. I think it's a lot easier if you just get a little closer to the door before you do that. Taking the speed pad there I don't think is a bad idea, but if you end up with speed here, this is also fine. Yeah, this section is really tricky. This is a very tricky room. I have a lot of problems there myself. Taking Snake Skip fairly conservatively, but got over, which is the main thing. That jump seemed to take quite long, and yeah, I have big problems here as well. Okay. Nice. I'm not going to go into like too much detail about like what should have been better at the end of that pyramid cave, because like I think you know everything that went wrong and what should have been better, and like I say, I have a lot of problems in the second half of pyramid cave as well, so I'm not really the best person to suggest more consistent ways to do things. Overall, like the stage was quite good. The first half was quite decent, and the second half then just had a lot of the problems that I see from, you know, a lot of other people, myself included. So just practice, practice, practice. Okay, green golden goddess. That seemed a little strange there. Okay, taking damage here. Interesting. This means you got to avoid that ring trail, yeah. But pretty swift death. Okay, gone for this hint here. People say this is better. I don't really like this approach. Okay, I mean, it's paid off. This angry guy. I don't really like that approach, though, if I'm totally honest. Okay, so you're going to continue on to blue. Interesting. Well, I hope you get area where 4 scorpions are looking at. Yeah, just enemies. Nice. Yeah, not a bad set by the end of it. Is that like close to a confirmed set or something, or are you just making an educated guess there? Because either way, that ended up being quite a nice set. Right. So no fireball skip, that's fine. I don't care about fireball skip. So yeah, the position that you were in here for when you hit the hourglass, I think the way you just ended up like around here, it's difficult for me to describe, but basically if you start more like somewhere around here and then just angle around and have more running speed towards the ghost, you can get a considerably better cutscene time on the in-game timer, because like, let's see what happens here. So the timer is like past 20 seconds by the time you get this sky view, and I typically try to get like a 19.5, like between 19.5 20 I think is good. So, you know, with King Boom Boo it's not very much time either way, but since it's just the little bit of time you can save here, it's just something to try and pay attention to. But you know, it's very minor. This is not bad. Yeah, the second half of the fight was generally quite good. This looks like a 45.5. Yep. So yeah, I know my King Boom Boos. I know the times you get on that boss fight. Okay. Super bounce. Super bounce. And super bounce. Yay. Good boom. Good. Yeah. Egg goal. Left side. Okay, this is interesting. I do want to pay attention to what you were doing on the control stick here. Oh, okay. I don't actually like what I'm seeing on the input cam here. I think you had a bit of a lucky collision here. I'm gonna get a golem up myself manually in story mode, and I don't have an input cam, so you're just gonna have to like take my word for what's happening as I'm doing this. But I'm gonna try and put myself in the same situation. Nice. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the right anyway. So right now, I'm doing what you were doing, which is holding down left on the control stick to try and get Sonic to stop, like when he lands. But what's probably going to happen once I land is that Sonic is just going to skid, and there's every chance that he could slip off the end of the arm. Yeah, like, it's touch and go there. But I find a much more consistent method of doing this is to actually hold down right as soon as you land. And then as soon as you just have control of Sonic and he's running, as soon as you've landed, then you can angle towards down left and just carry on as normal. So this time when I land, I'm going to be holding down right, and then as soon as I land, I'm going to rotate clockwise to down left. And you're just in control much sooner. And you won't get like the skid if that happens. So I do recommend doing that instead. Like that put you in quite an awkward position and went a long way towards falling there. Nice last bounce though, that was very nice. That was a really fast bounce. And then you tried the death abuse and the light dash. Yeah, that happens. Okay. So, I'm not entirely sure how to approach like talking about this stage, because I mean, I'm willing to bet that if you're going to do like hero runs again, that you're just going to not go for first cycle and you're going to go for the new skip. So I can talk about how getting to first cycle can be improved if you want, because I know it's something you always struggled with, but if you think it's like something you're not going to use at all anymore, then it's kind of pointless to go into. Nice start though. Yeah, the enemy's a shitter. Yeah, 13. It's like, First cycle with A rank strats, I probably can't really advise on that too much. I'm just gonna say, like, if anything really leaps out to me as like big mistakes here then. I mean, that I don't think was very necessary. You can go a lot straighter there, in my opinion. Going over the middle here is quite nice though. The hover there seems a little extended for my liking. A lot of people seem to struggle with getting down to the missile pad and getting off it quickly, so let's see how this goes. Okay, yeah, going over. Yeah, so that's fine, getting down there. And, oh, that's a weird... Kind of worked, though. That was actually not bad. This is actually, yeah, generally speaking, really not bad so far. Yeah, 105, pretty standard. Yeah, this is an easy first cycle. No real complaints. Oh, well, yeah, missing hover jumps is a thing, but you're still making it. Oh, in that circumstance, I wouldn't have gone for the balloon backup, because I think that did slow you down a bit, but yeah. And then, yeah, clip out here, I think you just mistimed your backup hover, but out second try. So then this is just going to be flying to the goal ring.
I'm trying to do everything the same for first and second attempt. It should be more accurate to describe my problem.
Yeah, that's about what I'd expect from a Eternal Engine with second try clip out. I mean, you did get the clip out second try, Tommy, so, you know, time loss is always going to happen from that. That would have been, like, you know, several seconds faster if you'd gotten the clip out first try. And I think the only reason you missed it was that your backup hover timing was a little off, in my opinion. Okay, this is a really good first piece, as you know. Checking for... I think you were checking for the free piece there. Really nice first piece. And checking for a free piece there as well, interesting. Big door. Nice, punching there is correct rather than jumping. You did misgauge that though, which, yeah, I think you know. Could have... Okay, something that I'm a little surprised to see that you're... Oh, I don't know if you were continuing to... Does this show? Okay, it does show when you're initiating the... Oh, okay. So you weren't actually continually holding the L button here to change the camera. That's something that I would have done. Like, just continue to hold the L button here so that the camera was facing in this direction as soon as you got out of the ground, and then just, like, glide as soon as you get out of the ground and punch as soon as possible. Just a slight, you know, movement optimization. Yeah, these pieces are okay, like you say. They're nothing special, but they're okay. This is going to be like a 45, I think, depending which one it is. And it's the... yeah, this one. Nice. If it was either of the other ones, that would have been closer to a 45, yeah. Like if you needed to take the spring for the middle one, or if you flew further for the far one.
I'm not sure about this one, to be honest. No.
Risky. Yeah, alright, so... let's have a look at this. So if you want to just really try and squeeze what you can out of this, I'm going to like frame advance this. Right, now I'll frame advance it. You'll notice that, like, you gain control of Knuckles pretty much, like, as soon as the camera starts moving. And that happens at pretty much exactly 8 on the clock. It's like a couple of frames after 8 on the clock. So as soon as you, like, see or you anticipate that it's going to turn to 8, you can just start inputting. Like, now. The fight's in progress. But you don't jump until, like, 8.2, so, like, again, it's just, like, it's frames, really, but it's just something, if you've got a cue of when to expect to go for it, you can, like, go for it a little sooner. And I think it's a little more reasonable to go for as soon as possible, when Rouge is just, like, you know, as passive as possible, without waiting for it to start moving. Because you also, like, jump, like, really high here. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but you jump very high there. Yeah, so getting hit there lost, like, a bit of time, but... Which is why I actually prefer just jumping around her and waiting to time drill dives rather than handstanding into her repeatedly, because if she attacks, then she can still, like, hit you quite easily. Whereas if you're just jumping around in the air, she's not going to attack at all. If you're airborne, she's just very passive. I like this start. I think the Vertex kills some of your speed there, but that still wasn't bad. Oh, nice. You did lose some speed there as well from the homing attack timing, I think, but this is still a perfectly respectable start to CG. This is about what I'd expect to get in a run, and that strat I actually don't use. That's really nice. Yeah, I really like this start. Okay, so death. So it's just pretty much when you get CGSS. How did that get out? Holy shit. Let's look at this again. You went so low there. Jeez, how long are you gonna hold the spin dash, dude? I have no idea how you got out of bounds here. That... What the fuck, dude? I actually don't know how you didn't die here. Of course, Tommy. Yeah, I actually just don't know how you didn't die there. That was way, way too low to my eyes. I can only assume you... God, you just made that as well. Jesus Christ, dude. But yeah, that was scary. If you made it out, and if that's how CGSS works for you, then fair enough. I would be very, very uncomfortable going that low to get out of bounds, though.
Yeah, it was really close. I was about...
We are nearing the end, though. Oh, it's this method. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of this method, but it seems to work for people, so... I mean, yeah, you got a 14, so it's fine. So if that works for you, and if you're consistent at that, I'm not going to complain about that. I'm just not a huge fan of doing it myself. That seemed a little odd, but, you know, this works. You are going quite slow here, though. I think maybe it's from the way that you got onto the next... Yeah, something about maybe the way you bounced onto this, if you did indeed bounce onto it. You're actually going fairly slow here, which surprises me, because it didn't look like a bad approach, but then you just lost a lot of speed somehow. Missed the checkpoint, but if you're going for the regular skip, it shouldn't matter. Oh, you bounced late? Okay.
I don't actually know.
And then this is just FR skip. Yeah. FR skip is FR skip. So, Shadow. Anything here? That works doing it from neutral position. I prefer to go to the right, but I guess there is actually maybe less margin for error. Got a low bounce there, which just sometimes happens, I think. So is there anything I can say about this? Like, I do like that you got a full jump before you did the homing attack. Like, that does help you accelerate towards Shadow, as you see here. Like, you caught him pretty easily. Yeah. I wish I fully understood what caused this to happen. My only theory on this is that you like hit him too low on his hitbox. Like, just it doesn't look like there's any rhyme or reason for why that should happen, but you know, sometimes it does. I think the only reason that might happen is because, like I say, you're hitting him too low on his hitbox, but it's not really easy to control. But you did recover very well from it. Excuse me. And pulled out with a 36-15, yes. Yeah, that was definitely a run. Thank you very much for that, and I apologise that it took so long to get an analysis to you, but I hope you found this informative and that there's some stuff to take away from this. I personally think your weakest character is Tails. Like, I think Tails is the one you will like benefit the most from like working on. There's like, obviously your Knuckles play is like really, really good. Some of your Sonic play is also really good. Like, your Sonic play is like a bit inconsistent. Like, there are some parts that are really solid and then other parts that could be quite a bit better. Like, the Pyramid Cave was quite shaky. But Tails has like consistent room for improvement everywhere, honestly. And I mean, it's difficult to suggest how you should practice Tails and get better at it, but all I know is that all of the Tails stages do have some significant room for improvement. Like Hidden Base, if you want a single stage to practice, like especially for movement, I would recommend Hidden Base. Just to try and revisit like what I was saying in the stage and analyze, if you want, like how I play it and how other like guys who get like 145 or better without, you know, one of the advanced skips gets it, and there should be just a lot to take on board from that. But yes, thank you very much, Tommy. And I will be highlighting this at some point so that you can just refer back to it, or anyone else. This should be quite helpful for anyone with like a 36, 37